Hello, it says I'm live. Hey, I'm live and I'm alive. Um, I don't know if anybody's here yet, but if anybody is, let me know how the sound is if you can hear me. But I'll just start shortly. Let's see. Okay, and let's see. Okay, there's one person. Can you hear me? Okay, whoever's there, um, let me know. And my hair's okay. Who cares about my hair? Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start. Um, so this video is about Ukraine and the defensive war they're fighting and how they are standing up to a Russian psychopathic vampire killer who's been on a killing spree since he took office. And Yeltsin even said that before he passed away, that the biggest regret of his whole life was handing over power to Putin. And what he's done is he's he's still just like a KGB agent, but he lives off other people's blood and death, and he fights by just like the communists always have, but he fights, and how the Nazis did. He fights by attacking civilians, attacking apartments, attacking hospitals, women, children. They shoot POWs. It's seen on video. They torture. I just got done with a English gentleman's book, and he got captured and he got released because they were able to bargain for some dude that the Russians wanted. And they tortured him so bad, and he heard people being murdered by torture. At least one guy, but I'm sure it's others. It's a beast nation. And a lot of the information, Russia has always lied. They're liars. They live by lies. I'll give you a good example of that. In the documentary that just won Academy Award, I don't even watch Academy Awards, but they did deserve to win on the 20 Days in Mariupol. There's a scene where the Russians attack a hospital, and they know, it's a hospital, and it's a maternity ward, and they murder a bunch of people. And the news, it cuts to the news in Russia, and the news is saying, the news people in Russia are saying it's a staged situation. There's actors over there in the hospital. That's how wicked they are. They will slaughter innocents. They will slaughter women who are about to have their babies, and then they'll lie to their own people and say it's a setup by Ukraine. They know no depth to their wickedness, and they have actual. I mean, all this stuff that I'm gonna say here, you guys. I mean, you don't. The problem with a lot of conservatives, well, not even conservatives, I call them conservatives, because they're going by the talking heads like Tucker the Sucker and others, and he truly is an appeasement sucker. He's a real fool. He They go by that more than doing research, finding out. We have the blessing of the internet where we can find out the truth. You don't just listen to one source and that's it. You look at different things. You look at, if possible, people on the ground, people, vloggers on the ground, seeing, you could see what's happening. There's no denying it. I mean, when you see bombs going off on apartment buildings, you see whole towns decimated by, you could see drone video of all these thousands of houses bombed, obliterated, town after town. But yet the Ukrainians have pushed them back a lot. They've fought very well. But when you see that, you have to go by your common sense and not what these idiots like Tucker are saying. And because Russia has propaganda farms They have propaganda farms that, and it's known. It's not my opinion. I mean, it's fact. Anything I'm saying, you guys can check out, and if you're really honest, want to find out. It's known. They have these propaganda farms that spew out a bunch of lies over and over and over all over the world to see if they can influence public opinion enough that people like the good, the decent people in America, that are helping them with arms supplies so that they can defend themselves, just like we did with in World War II with France and other nations, to influence them with their lies, so that, which they have. Um, that dummy, the Speaker of the House, has been influenced, but it looks like they're going to resume shipments, please God. So what happens is that's a big part of their warfare, by lies. But on the battlefield, they're getting their asses handed to them when the Ukrainians have the munitions and they don't run out of munitions. They have good on their side. They're doing the right thing. The invaders are the evil ones, and they're getting their asses handed to them, as they should, mostly, unless the Ukrainians are overwhelmed and they don't have the needed equipment and they run out of munitions, and that's been a problem. So, John Royer, is Francis still live? I haven't seen an upload. Yes, Martin has been uploading. He did a couple last week, I think, and yeah, he's doing good, really good. The cancer is being beat back mainly by meditation, Roy Masters meditation. If people are not using that, please go to Roy Masters meditation on YouTube, and practice it daily, every morning, every night. And then also, that's given him the power, as it can for anybody, properly, to zero, like almost zero carbs, and more alkaline food, not acid, like 80-20, is what he told me, which is working, and it's been miraculous. He's like 90% better, thank God. So another, if anybody wants to, we don't have hardly anybody here yet, but if anybody wanted to call in, they could. And I will put it on speakerphone. And this is my new card that I got made up. Let's see. It's not very clear, huh? I don't think there's enough light. But anyway, so yeah, so the thing about the Ukrainian war too, it's like, you got to rely on what you see, like common sense. They're being invaded. It's the biggest invasion of a sovereign country since World War II. And all this crap about, Zelensky's this and biolabs that, and all this. Probably all nations have biolabs. I mean, that doesn't mean that you go and slaughter their civilians and try to. The truth is, that's not it. And I don't even know how true that is, even that they have biolabs. But even the truth of the matter is, Ukraine is, they had a revolution, a peaceful revolution, mostly because this was back in 2000, I believe, 13, 14. The president then was elected with a promise to sign a trade agreement with the European Union. They wanted to align more with the West and Europe rather than Russia. Well, what happened, and this is all you guys can look this up. He was called over to Russia, meeting with Putin, and after that meeting, he reneged on this promise That's when the revolution, the Maidan revolution started. They were like, what the heck? We voted for you with this promise. He got intimidated by Putin because Putin didn't want them to go that route. And then the peaceful protests started. They shot a bunch of protesters. It got violent. Then the pressure was on that corrupt president, and he fled. He went to Russia, and then things changed, and they went more towards, European um, alignment. That's what they chose. That's what they wanted. You could see documentary on it. There were millions of people out there. Okay, that's not a coup. That's not like you're like what it is trying to degrade the bravery and passion that those Ukrainians had, like a CIA coup and whoever else is going to create those millions of people and the outrage, the moral outrage for reneging. No, that wasn't created by the CIA. That's what actually happened. So that's more Russian propaganda lies. Um, what it is a lot of Russia is mostly it's run like a mafia nation, and any kind of historical reading and finding out about it is Putin is an extremely wealthy man by theft of businesses and businesses from that nation, stealing money. Um, he didn't become that wealthy by his own wits. He steals. He has people in power that steal his. It's basically run like a mafia. I mean, you can read about it. It's horrible. Extreme corruption. If you speak up out against it, like a bunch of authors and journalists did, most of them are dead. There's one lady, Anne. I have her book, Anne. I forgot her last name. They shot her dead. She would expose all this corruption, horrible, horrible, horrible corruption. A lot of the corruption in the military, how a lot of the officers would beat their troops, drink, get drunk, and it's very common in the Russian military, um, from what I read, to beat on their troops. It's just a nightmare, military. And so what it is it's like mafia. When you try to leave the mafia, they don't let you, right? They come after you. And that's what Putin's doing with Ukraine. He wants it back. He wants the resources back. He's Mr. Mafia Thug Don, and he's trying to get them back. But finally, we have a nation that is fighting back nobly, and it's beyond me how any Republicans, people who call themselves conservative, can not see that it's such a right thing to do, and to help them, just help them fight their own way out of this, which they're doing. And they're extremely brave. And if you stop that and you allow Putin, another nation, to take over, that's an awful, awful thing. And he's taken over Chechnya. They slaughtered massive civilians. When they knew they had white flags up, they were marching away from town, slaughtered them. This is all historical. They slaughtered civilians in Georgia. They took over Georgia. They slaughtered civilians in Crimea. They took over Crimea. They slaughtered a bunch of innocents in Syria. Now they're in Ukraine, and they're getting excellent resistance. Thank God. The other nations weren't able to. They weren't big enough, but they didn't have enough munitions and fighting people to do that. So now they are, and I'm very grateful for it. And I think anybody who is listening to the Russian propaganda without really finding out that it is just a damn fool. And there's a lot of people like that. Trump is one of them. Now that's what I wanted to bring up, is that a lot of this is happening with Republicans because they don't realize it, but they are worshiping Trump, because for other reasons Trump is a wicked man. The DNA poison that's being put in, a genocide, this is factual. It's a genocide. Mega cancers, mega deaths, clots deaths, heart deaths. It's awful, and he's still calling them lifesavers. So if you still support him, you are worshiping a wicked, absolutely a nightmare. So if you are that blinded and your light is dimmed that much, you see that Trump is like has cozied up and said he could end this war, and he gets along with Putin. So yeah, and he got along well with the North Korean dictator, and he got along pretty good with the Chinese dictator. But isn't it funny how the Western European leaders he didn't get along so well with? What does that say about him? So these people on our side, right side, they're overly influenced by him because they're not seeing by their own wordless common sense, and they're overly influenced by him. So he doesn't have any words of outrage for the Putin civilian mass murderer. He only has appeasement words that he can end the war right away. Well, the only way he supposedly could end it by giving Putin, like he even has a right to do that, which he doesn't. That's Ukrainian decision, and they're not going to appease Putin. And that's what his answer is, because the only way you could end it that fast is to try to make an arrangement where they can keep what they stole: mass murder, slaughtered, tortured. So because he's that way, it eliminates, it makes it more people then feel that way on the right also, like they don't have that moral passion against like what's so obviously wicked, awful, like it's, but they're not living and seeing by their own inner light. They're going by the status quo and what's being said by the talking heads and by social media and by Trump, and it's really not a good way to be. I used to be that way years ago. I went off, I had right leanings and right ideas, but I went too much off of what other people were saying, on the conservative side, and then I think, well, that's me. But when you're not seeing it for yourself, you're kind of borrowing from other people's light, and some of it's not light at all. Some of it's real dark, like what I just spoke to. So I guess that's all I wanted to say. I did want to say, let's see, only about 5% of our military budget, yeah, a mere 5% is what we've spent helping Ukraine. So it's very minimal, and they've done an outstanding job defending their nation with that. And if they had more, it's a shame that, I think the European nations should just jump in and end this guy, end Russia's Putin's reign of terror. But I don't know, that doesn't, we're in end times. We're in Revelation now. It started 2021 with the clot shots. I believe that's the white horseman. I think anyone can see we're knee deep in it. 2028 end is very factual if you look into it. So 2025 March is just about the time where the antichrist will rise, and there actually is a lot of things pointing to Trump fitting the characteristics of what the Bible says is the antichrist. I don't know if he is or not, but it's sure sounding like that when you really look into it. But so, and then I wanted to say also that I've heard it said that good and bad thoughts, like bad thoughts, you want to watch, so that they don't overtake you and cause you to act. But good thoughts, you want to watch also, because we're not supposed to live by thoughts. Jesus said, don't take to thinking of what you're going to eat, what you're going to say, what you're going to, live. We're supposed to live like children without taking the thought, without thinking about things, without mulling things over. There's another way to but we're so used to doing that that then when you let that go, it seems like you don't know anything. It seems like such a foreign way to live, but it's a very good, peaceful way to live, and it's how you remain calm and everything. And um, it's not about some good thoughts are good and some are bad. All thoughts are bad, like words in our head, even if they're true, because the light just shows us without the thoughts. The intellect will try to, you know, mimic it and try to, like Roy told me, it tries to steal the glory of the inner light, the wordless conscience, and it'll talk it in your head to try to get you to have allegiance with it, and then it'll turn on you in a split second, like really, really bad. Like, so obviously there's another way to live separate from all your thoughts and words in your head. And I'm living that way more and more, thank God. And I want to say to end this, congratulations to Alan Masters. He's done something that even Facebook and YouTube and what else? I think those two haven't even done when they didn't like what I was sharing because it was too honest and true. And he's censored me permanently from all Foundation of Human Understanding platforms, permanently. Yeah, for the opposing Trump on the consistently and patiently and not angrily. And but he doesn't want any opposition on his Trump worship, and that's what it is, and his wife too. So what he does is he eliminates that opposition. And it's not like I went there and just went hog wild on Trump. I shared 90% other good stuff, and they just don't want any opposition at all to their Trump idolatry. And it's so I just wanted to say congratulations, Alan Masters. You were able to be more do a better job at censorship than even Facebook and YouTube. So thank you for that. And thank you for listening. And God bless you all. And please go to Roy Masters meditation on YouTube. And it's awesome. It really is. All right. Have a good one. We didn't get hardly anybody here, but I'm sure there will be people watching this later. All right. Take care.